Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Angenette Levy, and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time visiting, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, returning viewer, thanks for coming back. Please do me a favor, if you would. Please hit that like button, the thumbs up. And also, it would be really great if you would subscribe. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. This is a live stream. If you're watching on replay, thanks so much for watching on replay. I wanted to come on here and talk a little bit tonight, and I'm going to have somebody joining me to talk about this, about BK. That's what we're trying to call him these days because he likes to watch himself, apparently, or at least did when he was first arrested, like to watch himself on the news, according to inmates at the Latah County Jail. I wanted to talk about this whole prison thing. I've seen a lot of people talking about what's been going on with him in prison, the complaints he's filed, that type of thing. I also wanted to talk a little bit about this whole thing about the crime scene photos that were released, the photos documenting the scene. There was a hearing earlier today featuring the attorney representing Maddie Mogen's family and Ethan Chapin's family. And they're trying to keep, they would like no photos or videos of anything released. But they particularly do not want photos of the bedroom crime scenes released of their loved ones. So we're going to talk a little bit about what happened there. The judge asked a lot of questions, which some of her questions I found to be very interesting. The city attorney said, look, they redacted these and they believed they redacted enough with what they released. They blurred them. The attorney for the city or the families did not agree since they showed some blood and things of that nature. So that was an interesting hearing that was held today. Before we get into this, though, I want to show a picture of the reason why we're here, the victims in this case. I like to always do this and focus on them. And this is why we're here tonight, because of Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan, and Xana. And of course, Dylan and Bethany are in this photo too. They survived. I think everybody knows that at this point, but you just never know. You just never know. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on. Also, everybody, if you would, I love it when everybody tells me where they're watching from. So if you wouldn't mind, please let me know where you're watching from in the comments. I love going back and seeing where everybody's watching from. We get people from all over the world, which is really exciting. People from across the country, different states. And we have somebody from London. Totally exciting. Love that. 420 News. So one thing I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to have him on last week. I wanted to talk about this whole thing with prison. And Bryan Kohberger, we're going to call him BK, his complaints, I didn't get my food. I didn't get this. I didn't get that. And so I know somebody, and a lot of you, the mods particularly, know this person. He is Eric from the Docket. And Eric from the Docket was a prison guard in one of Ohio's toughest, if not toughest, prisons. And so I want to bring in Eric from the Docket so he can talk to us about these complaints that Bryan Kohberger has been lodging from prison. He's been there now a little more than a month. Eric, thanks so much for coming on tonight. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So Eric, okay, I don't, this is a little weird. Thank you for the super chat. This is a little bizarre. I've never thought I would quite say this, but apparently Ted Bundy is watching from Green Bay. That is not something I ever thought I would say. Thanks for the chat, Ted. If that's your real name, I am sorry for you, but thank you for watching. And I
feel sorry for you.
Yeah, totally. But thanks for that. I appreciate the contribution. And thanks to the mods. Thanks to Mel, Webby, Monty, and Mo for being here tonight. They're always so helpful to me, and I really appreciate it. So everybody, please give them a shout out, and don't forget to let me know where you're watching from. Eric, when this first started coming out, about BK complaining. It doesn't seem that off base to me, given what we know about him, because we've kind of learned he's a little bit of a mama's boy. And so he's going from the county jail to the big house, maximum security, Idaho maximum security institution. And he's complaining about, I didn't get my food, or at service, you didn't put this piece of food on my tray. And I told you I needed that piece of food and you needed to bring it back. And then he's talking about all of these things about the sexual harassment claims. There's some people who've really gotten upset about that on Twitter, that the media, people like me, actually published this report that we got. A lot of people think we're like getting secretly handed this stuff. That's not how this works. Nobody has secretly leaked this. Nobody's leaking these things. We request these items. So talk to me, if you would, as somebody who's worked in Lucasville. You worked at Lucasville. That's a tough place. That's where there was a riot back in late 80s, early 90s.
93.
1993. Went on for days. I remember watching it on the news. I was a kid. Bad news. The inmates took over the asylum, essentially. They killed a guard. It was really bad. So talk to me about what you thought, as somebody who worked in a prison as a guard, about BK's complaints.
Well, listen, I don't know what he thinks he was supposed to do. I don't know if he thought he was going from the jail to Hilton Head or what, but that's just not how things work in prison. Okay. Especially when you're somebody coming in high profile, like you stated, a target on your back, and probably most of that state and a bunch of other states, for the most part, nobody likes you to begin with. And then you're going in amongst a bunch of what you're showing right now. A bunch of other dudes that are just as bad as you are, as far as what they did as far as a crime, but they've been in there for a heck of a lot longer than what you have. And you can see them there in that photo that you got up. They're just, I see one big fellow back there in the blue t-shirt
right back here.
Yeah, I think that was a guard maybe walking or
lower. You're talking about the guy. So it looks like a staff member walking up the steps. I mean, this doesn't look so horrible when you look at it. Like, I've seen worse. But then you see this guy on the lower level, and it looks like he's cleaning or something. I can't really tell.
He's what you would call a porter. And a porter is somebody who he comes out. You can see that's probably his cell door that's open. That's probably where he lives at. He's a porter for inside the block. He comes out. It's super clean, by the way. Listen, kudos to him for that.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the floor is shiny.
Well, they had a film crew coming in. They had to make sure it looked nice.
Well, yeah,
this is their handout
true.
video.
That's true. They had to prep it up.
We can't have the film crew coming in when the place is a mess. So
yeah, and it's being flooded, and there's people throwing things, and so yeah, you're right. But yeah, that dude, that cat down there with the blue t-shirt on, he's a porter, and he'll, they come out, they sweep it, they mop it, and that's probably another porter, and you can see where he lives at, or vice versa. I don't know which house is theirs, but they usually have two porters, that do that, and they'll come out and they'll do their work, and then kind of as a I guess I don't want to say perk, but it kind of is. They get to stay out a lot more. It's called out of cell time. They go kick it with all their buddies around the block and pass things, notes. I'll just keep it real with you. Gambling slips, things like that. But
so they
they
gamble. They do things that are illegal in prison.
Absolutely.
I'm teasing. Of course they
Absolutely.
do.
Those ramen noodles, man, that's big money in there.
So let's talk. When you first started hearing about the complaints, first of all, I mean, he's talking, obviously, county jail. And I say this, I've never spent the evening, thank God, in a county jail or a prison, but I've been in both covering news stories. I've been in both a prison, a maximum security prison, and I've been in several county jails. The maximum security prison I was in Wisconsin was, I think it was it
Dodge City?
I think it was Dodge Correctional, whatever. Maybe it was Waupun. I can't even remember. I think it was Dodge Correctional. It's wherever the reception center is. And so I was in there. I was in there when they were like processing these people, doing the whole, delousing shower. They were, taking down their names. And I mean, I couldn't believe they let us in there and let us shoot this stuff. We weren't shooting them. We were allowed to shoot their feet in the shower and stuff like that. But, we got to go see the whole process of what these people go through. So when you start hearing about these complaints, he's going in, he's in the bigger housing unit where he's getting assessed, and then they move him to J block. They move him into J block. He's in a cell 23 hours a day. He gets out 1 hour a day for rec time in the rec yard.
Right.
But he has to be in shackles when he's moved. I mean, he's considered the worst of the worst. I mean,
Right.
I don't care if you were trying to get your PhD. You killed 4 people and you admitted to it. You're the worst of the worst. You're in with the big boys. So, what the heck? I mean, how common are these like complaints that he was lodging about? You didn't give me my food. I read the book and you're not the manual, and you're not upholding the actual nutritional guidelines. They're not being met, and you didn't bring me my food when I asked for it, my missing piece of food. Is this type of stuff common?
Can I first say something about you mentioning his PhD before I answer that one?
Sure.
You know what that PhD's worth in there?
I would say nothing.
A toilet flush. Just
right.
He can flush that PhD down the toilet. But I mean, listen, you have your habitual complainers. Okay? And it's not like it works. If anything, it only makes things worse for you, because once you get there, you see it in his complaints with the harassment stuff. Nobody did reports on it until 3 or 4 days later. It's not like, listen, he is not going to go in there and people are going to stop what they do. They're not going to interrupt their routine to accommodate this dude. And even if it's somebody that has no clue what he did, no clue that he's high profile, if there's anybody left. But I'm just saying, they are not going to accommodate him and all of his little, things that he thinks he's supposed to get just, at the snap of his finger. Hey, I didn't get my meal. You bring me another one. No. No, yeah, okay, we'll bring in another one. We'll see you in 4 hours when we bring dinner. That's when you'll eat again. And that's just the way it is, gang. And I know some people won't like that, but there's over 500 and some inmates at this institution. The one I worked at averages around between 1,500 and 2,000. So there's a whole bunch of other inmates in there that everybody is dealing with too. He's not anything special. He didn't jump to anybody's priority list as saying, we got to cater to this cat. Okay. He is nothing special. He is a number, just like the other 534 or 535 that's at that prison where he's at. But yeah, like I said, you do have your habitual complainers, but and they write their kites just like he did. They write and complain. And most of the time, I'm going to keep it real with you here too. Most of the time, those never make it out of the block. Those goes in the trash can before they ever even get to where they're supposed to go. But, and some people won't like that either. But it's just the way. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's how things work in prison. They are not going to cater to this dude. And he's expecting to be everybody to fall in line and let him run it. And it doesn't work that way, Angenette. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, well, I didn't think so. Just based on what I know. Whoa, excuse me, guys. I sneezed there. A little bit of a sneeze. If you're just joining us, thanks so much for joining. We're talking about BK's life in prison and his complaints and things of that nature. And I know we covered this last week, but I covered this on Crime Fix and everything. However, I thought we should actually talk with somebody who knows what it's like in prison, somebody who knows what it's like to work inside prison. So Eric from the docket is here, and he was a prison guard at Lucasville in Ohio, which is a tough, tough place. Hello, Gray Hughes. Thanks for stopping in tonight.
Great.
So I wanted to, if you're a prison guard and you're dealing with this guy, this is like a special kind of, I guess all inmates in their own way. There's the hierarchy and the little gangs and the whatever. There's all this talk about, well, he was getting harassed and razzed. It sounds like the prison, when they were responding to like the media requests about this, they were like, what he considers harassment. Like, no, this is just what they do. They're bored. They're in there. They have nothing else to do. They yell at each other through the vents. It's not necessarily always directed at him. It sounds like this is just what these people do. Is that what you experienced when you worked at Lucasville? Like these inmates yelling through toilets and vents at each other and whatever else?
Listen, if they're yelling through or talking through the vents, hell, that's a great day. It's when they're screaming through the bars at somebody, 19 cells down, is when it's miserable. And there's, like I told you the other day, they're cell banging. That's what they're doing. They're cell banging, and you'll have God only knows what. But they're just arguing back and forth, yak, 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 and every curse word in the book being thrown at each other. And like I said, who knows what they're arguing about? But yeah, to answer your question, yes, it's not like anything new is happening to him. It's prison life, bro. Settle in. settle in, because, you know, for at least the next few years, you're hit right in the mouth. And, you know, to go a little bit further, as I'm sitting here reading, because I'm reading his complaints, you know, not only did you go in high profile, now you threw a dude with the nickname of Peru under the bus. So now you got the snitch tag on you. So you're not helping yourself. You didn't help yourself. You know, the smart thing to do would be to go in, keep your head down. Don't create any ripples. Stay off the radar as much as you can. You don't go in and within 2 weeks, you know, start throwing out harassment suits, and I call them his harassment suits now after reading the ticket.
There's some bad words on here. I guess I should take it down.
No,
but
you don't have to do
well,
that.
you know, YouTube gets weird about that stuff. But you know, they said some stuff to him. And they said that the part about this that I thought was interesting, that it says that you know, on August 7th, Officer Signoria submitted an information report outlining his involvement in the incident, and he remembered vulgar language being used and directed toward Kohberger, but could not identify who said what. The allegation is substantiated. So they're saying this allegation is substantiated, but due to no aggressor being able to be positively identified and Kohberger saying he feels safe to remain on tier 2 of J block, no further actions were taken. So he's already in, yeah, Peru is going to be like, dude, you're a snitch.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm not sure I'm messing with a guy named Peru, but I mean, he's a criminology, allegedly was this like criminology PhD student who it sounds like wasn't really that good of a PhD student from everything I'm hearing. I don't think wouldn't you know something about criminals? Obviously, I don't think he wasn't studying criminology for the right reasons, but wouldn't you know something a little bit about inmates and people who commit crimes and the culture of prisons, that maybe you shouldn't be like snitching on a guy? Like, and I'm like, always, like I tell my son, like, all this don't snitch stuff, like if you're taught like at school, whatever, stupid, don't listen to that. But we're talking prison. Okay.
Right,
this is like the prison culture. So that's what we're talking about here. Your first like month there, you're ratting out some guy named Peru, who's probably, I don't know, some big bad dude or some big little dude on J block. It seems like a really stupid thing to do. Like, if you're a smart guy, shouldn't you maybe be trying to, even though you're in your cell 23 hours a day, maybe making some friends in there if you've got all these brains and these smarts, even though you guys are all there? I'm assuming everybody on J block's a lifer. So I don't know.
Well,
learn to get along with people.
No matter what the size of Peru, I would bet a bunch of money that Peru is clicked up with a gang. So he not only has to worry about Peru, whoever that is, he's got to worry about all of Peru's buddy. And, you know, we know that from reading these records that in BK's mind, he wants, I mean, he actually says it in these, that, you know, he hopes to eventually be like another high profile inmate.
Right. I was like, is that Chad Daybell? Is that who he's talking about?
Right. And
let me pull up that record.
I actually went and looked, tried to get the whole roster for everybody that was in that prison.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Chad was one of them that came up, but there was another high profile inmate in there, but the guy was pushing, he was up in his 70s and then just horrible health. Probably probably the highest profile inmate is Chad. But the thing is, Chad's on death row, so he's never going to get to where Chad is.
But I think it's like kind of this sort of the same place in some ways, because I've got that document here. I was trying to find it to pull it up on here.
Yeah.
Here I found it. So they had this hearing about his placement. And it says that resident Kohberger is being referred to administrative segregation for the protection of staff and residents, as well as for his protection. And this was a placement hearing. He wants to work and be productive eventually. He requested that he continue to have recreation alone and be escorted alone at this time. So he doesn't want to be alone in the rec yard. He says it is hopeful he can one day have recreation with others and live with them, others like him, just like another high-profile resident on J2 does.
Yeah. He wants to have rec alone, doesn't he?
Yeah, it says requested that he continue to have recreation alone and be escorted alone at this time. He does not want to be alone with other inmates in that rec area. Like he wants to be like with a guard, I guess, supervised.
Right.
Like he wants muscle around him in the form of a corrections officer. Like he doesn't want to be in that rec yard like alone with another inmate, I guess is what I meant to say.
And you know, that's the thing. You know, at Lucasville, it was called the Chain Gang. You went in, there's 80 cells in a block. There's 40 on one side, 40 on the other side. Now you go in, not all 40 on each side would go, but say you would have 20 that wants to go to rec. Well, you had rec pod. They're called rec pod crew. They go in, they hook the 20 up, cuffs, shackles, and some of them, if they're been known to slip their cuffs and whatnot, and many are able to do it, they have to wear the belly chain too. And then they're all herded out of the block and then into the corridor and down through the prison till they go outside to where the rec area is for them, and then they're put in individual to do their rec. Now, never in my career at Lucasville did we ever take one correction officer and one inmate because he didn't want to rec alone by himself out to rec. You either get your butt on the chain along with everybody else, or you don't go to rec. It's as simple as that. What he is asking for, that, you know, I'm just speaking here for Ohio. You ain't getting it at Lucasville. Now, what I don't know if they're going to do this for this cat or not, but nah, you ain't got it like that, homie. So you don't get special rec, and you don't get an officer to be your personal bodyguard because you're afraid to come out of your cell and go to rec. You just don't. That's just the way it is. I told you, I don't know if you want me to say it or not, but you know, I'm just trying to give the folks a real look inside of what it is for inmates. There's one way for him to reach that point to where he says he wants to be able to eventually, I believe is the word, wreck with, everybody else and have a job and blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, there's one way you do that. You come out of your cell and you fight or you fold. It's entirely up to you. And you might have to fight every day. But that's the only way you're ever going to gain anybody's respect, to where you can come out on the yard and have your recreation and have a job and, go to the library. He's dying to go to the library. He is. So he can, do as much reading as he can do. Go to church services, maybe. I don't know what his religion is or anything like that. I don't really care. But what I'm saying is, there's all kinds of things for them to do. Once you get out of the uptight blocks, and he's what's considered an uptight block. That's where you're hooked up, chains, shackles, cuffs, anytime you come out of your cell. Now, obviously the goal is to get to a GP block or a general population block. And when you get to that general population block, that's when you have more things that you're able to do. You're able to have a job. You're able to, like I said, go to the library. There's more things that somebody can do in a GP block that just isn't offered to people in an uptight block.
Well, while you were saying all this, I looked up Chad Daybell. He is on J Block. So I'm assuming this is who he's referring to when he says he's hopeful he can one day have recreation with others and live with others like him, just like another high profile resident on J2 does. So he's on the same tier in the same block as Chad Daybell.
I know he's in that same block, but the only thing that I wonder about, most of the time death row inmates are not housed with regular inmates. Death row inmates have a block all to themselves.
Yeah, I don't know. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm just looking at the second page of the form, and it says there's two boxes, one for placed in administrative segregation, which was marked for him, and then placed in administrative segregation, sentence of death. Placed in general population, remain in administrative segregation, placed in protective custody, released from administrative segregation. He wanted protective custody, this said. Originally wanted the protective custody route, but due to his exposure in the media, sees that protective custody is not an option right now. What does that even mean? Because it sounds like administrative segregation almost is like protective custody, because you're in a cell 23 hours a day. Or does that mean you're with other inmates in like a pod or something, and you guys are all in protective custody? Like, what does that mean?
That it's exactly what you said it is. When you're in ADSEG, which is what he's in, that's the same as being in protective custody.
Well, then why is there two separate boxes then? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, because protective custody it really would be, the penthouse of prison life. The PC inmates, they have access to way, way, way more stuff than regular inmates, regular general population inmates. And they have a lot more out of cell time, whether it's in the, just they're in the block, like that video that you had up there earlier, That's a general population block. That's a GP block.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's not an uptight block. So when those guys went, that's where he would like to go. Now I don't know if that's what is it, block B? Is that where he wanted to go? I think
he wanted to go to B block, but then the guy told him, the warden or whatever, maybe not the warden,
yeah,
some supervisor said, "Hey, J block's pretty nice. We gave you a nice block, so you should just give it some time." He didn't think B block was like a good place for him to go. Like they literally said, "Dude, we gave you like the better block. Chill.
Yeah.
This ain't the Hyatt." Like,
right. Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, that's how that's kind of, I read between the lines. That's how I read between the lines.
Yeah. But that's even though it's a maximum security prison, that's a general population block of that video that you have. And what would happen, whatever time that block's rec time is, if it's at 9 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever, whenever that rec time came up, the officers flip the switch, they open up the cell doors, everybody steps out, they all go out to rec. That's what he is striving for. But you don't come from the jail and go straight to a general population block. You come from the jail, then you go to the reception center, and then they'll classify you to where they think would be best for you and for them. And listen, in those leaked videos, I mean, that's in the infirmary. That is somewhere in the infirmary. There's no cell in any prison that has that medical toilet that you see back in that far left corner of it. I mean, it's obviously a medical cell. So, he has a super nice cell there, but that all has to come to an end. And then you're eventually going to get moved from there to where he's at now. And you can see in those videos, he's comfortable there where he's at. He's standing there, I don't know, brushing his teeth or brushing his shoes or what he was doing. I don't get my jollies off this cat and watching him. And just to throw this in, whoever leaked that, I'd be updating my resume because you're probably done if you haven't already been fired. But anyway, they're just not. It just doesn't work that way. And there's so many ways that people can mess with your head and physically do things. Just because you're in an uptight block, like I told you the other day, just because you're in an uptight block, it doesn't mean that you can't still get touched. And I told you what happened. If you sit and cell bang with somebody and it gets amped up to, somebody really wants to get at you, they have ways of doing that. They bomb you out. I'm not going to be gross on your channel. I would on mine, but I'm trying to be respectful of your channel. That they bomb you out with human waste. We had guys.
That means they throw feces at you, like stuff like that, right?
Correct. And they take bags of milk and they let it sit and sour for days and days and days and days, and then they put their waste in it, and basically they just sit and let it cook. And when that person that they've been cell banging with eventually comes by their cell, guess what? That person gets bombed out. He gets it thrown on him. And listen, man, it is so bad. It will literally stink up a whole prison. And if you've ever been inside a prison, if you've ever been inside Lucasville, it's horrible. It is a horrible, horrible smell. And the other thing is, like I told you, I don't know what their cells are in the uptight blocks. In that video you showed that they've got solid doors. So, you know, it wouldn't work in that block, but in the uptight blocks where if they've got open front cells with just bars, you know, we had many times where dudes would come out and have a handful of batteries, and they would stop in front of somebody's cell and just, you know, fire batteries off at the other guy that's in his cell. And dude is ducking and screaming and trying to get, you know, people's attention to get him, because he's peppering them with batteries. And the other thing is, you know, if people don't do real good cell searches, they are able to get their hands on flammable stuff. We had some guy set another cell on fire with a guy in it. All they have is time, Angenette. All they have is time to sit and think of ways to get at somebody. And they use it wisely. I don't care where you're at in a prison. I don't care if you're in an uptight block like where he is. I don't care if you're in a general population block. I don't care if you're in protective custody. The worst beating that I was involved in was in protective custody here at Lucasville. And you know why? Because they had so much more than what the other GP inmates have. I mean, they've got flat screen TVs, they've got microwaves, they've got weights, whereas none of the other inmates in the prison do. They just have so much more than what everybody else has. I don't understand his decision to not go to protective custody. I was stunned. I actually even made the comment to you when this stuff all first came out. You know, I hadn't read it. I said, it sounds like to me that he's angling for protective custody. And you said, well, they offered it to him. And I was thinking, what? And then when I read these documents, I was like, wow, this guy is an idiot for not taking protective custody. I mean, he just is. And he probably still will be before it's said and done, but because he'll find out, you know, listen, compared to where he's at, or B block, or any uptight block, or any regular general population block, protective custody is like a halfway house, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. JR Workman, thank you for the super chat. The Ohio All-Stars team. Thank you, Angenette. That's very sweet of you. I don't understand his reasoning either. I think maybe he thought 23 hours in a day, 23 hours a day in a cell by myself, I'll be safer that way. That's my thought, is what he thought, but I could be wrong about that. I don't pretend to be able to get into the mind of Bryan Kohberger. We also have Ed Z. Hands. I think BK used the library education researching as a means to an end. He isn't intelligent. He used information as an attempt to control.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have some new members too. Jack Collins, thanks for gifting some memberships. That's very sweet of you. Let me shout out our new members. That's amazing. Let's see what we got here. We have Petunia, welcome. Kathy MacArthur, Danny, Pammy, and Happy Chickadee. Thank you so much, guys. That is so sweet for you to buy those memberships and gift those memberships. I want to talk now about this whole. So he's just going to have to adjust. You said he's going to have to come out and fight, so he's just going to have to come out. Even I guess like even with this condition he's in right now, this 23 hours a day in a cell, you're saying he has to come out and fight. Like, how is that even possible if he's in shackles every time he's escorted somewhere? I'm assuming his food, he's talking about his food being brought to his cell. It's not like he's going to like a mess hall or whatever, a cafeteria.
Right.
So, you said he's going to have to come out and prove himself.
Yeah. I mean, the food gets, when you're in an uptight, cafeteria workers bring the food to the blocks, and then the porters inside the block, they pass out the food to the inmates that are in their cells. So, there's a whole system of how that works. And by the time the food gets from the cafeteria to the block, to the porters, and then to the person actually eating, hell, somebody could eat what he's by the time it gets to his cell. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just telling you how it works in the prison system as an inmate. So he can whine and complain and do all the writing that he wants to do, but good luck, man. Good luck, because you already went out with a target due to high profile, and now you've got the snitch tag on you. So it's not going to work out well for you.
Let's switch gears now a little bit. I do want to say something. I saw some people really upset about me talking about him. I had a headline of he's crying sexual harassment. If anybody doesn't understand why I put that on there, I'm not making light of sexual harassment at all. I don't take sexual harassment or sexual assault lightly at all. What I do find ironic and somewhat rich is that someone who has a trove of non-consensual pornography on his phone, who was accused of sexually harassing students as a TA on the Washington State University campus, and who was obsessed with sexual burglary. That was his field of study at WSU, sexual burglary.
Yeah. Yeah.
I find it quite rich and somewhat ironic.
Yeah.
That he is complaining about sexual harassment. And I've said on this channel many times that I believe this crime was sexually motivated, whether he intended a sexual assault or not. It can still be sexually motivated. So I would never make light of sexual assault or sexual harassment. But for somebody like him, who we now know was watching, viewing, searching for pornography of women being forced into sex acts, to complain about sexual harassment. I find that rich. And if you read that and can't understand that, I don't know how else for you to see that.
Well,
so I just have to say that before we kind of move on to the next topic.
You call it rich, I call it karma.
Well, I just call it completely lacking self-awareness. So anyway, we've got some new photos. I think we can look at those another time. Though we have some photos. I was going to look at this. I was going to look at some photos, guys, and explain them. But now I'm like, we're running short on time, and I want to touch on Donna Adelson real quick with Eric, because my gosh, what's been going on this week in that trial is amazing. Rob Adelson, let me tell you. But would everybody let me know in the comments? I'm kind of thinking ahead to the weekend. I'm like, do I do a live on Saturday night, or are people going to be out partying like it's 1999, because it's Labor Day weekend? Or are people going to be like, heck no, I'm not logging onto YouTube on Saturday night? Like, what do I do? What should I do? Should I do something on Saturday night? Should I put together like a nice little presentation, or are you guys not going to be interested in that? Okay, it looks like people maybe I should do a poll. Some people are saying yes. Chantel Joy's son is getting married. Okay, some people are would love to do a live on Saturday night. I don't know. Somebody says not this Saturday night. It's a Saturday weekend. Some people say they'll be here. Okay, so maybe I'll try to do a live on Saturday night, guys, if people are available, because we're running out of time. But let me just tell you, I know that Eric on his channel has been covering this trial. Donna Adelson, can I just say, I didn't get to watch it. Like the last day and a half or so has all been the wiretaps. But Rob Adelson, I'm telling you what, he clearly thinks his mom was involved in this. And I thought his testimony was very damaging. Eric, what say you?
Oh, absolutely. And listen, he did not pull any punches whatsoever. And I know everybody is amped up and still waiting for Charlie. It's still not 100% confirmed if he's going to testify or not. I know he's on the list. I know he's at the jail. But we'll wait and see. But Rob, boy, he did not hold back, and he did not paint a pretty picture for Donna Adelson. And really, he didn't really help Wendy either. So I felt sad for Rob.
Oh, I feel so sad for Rob, because he literally has no family left.
Right. He has. And,
he has his wife, right? But as far as the family he grew up with, he has nobody.
Right. There's been basically, no communication for a long time. And what I guess, yeah, it's been 2014, over a decade, that, don't you find it really odd that the woman that we're looking at on your screen right now, after Dan was murdered, nobody picked the phone up and called him to say, hey, Dan's been shot and killed? He literally found out from somebody in New York while he was working, and he picks up the phone and calls Donna and says, "Hey, did," and now this I'm paraphrasing here. It's not verbatim, word for word, but hey, what's up with they arrested these somebody for Dan's murder, and they're like, we don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he did not. And good for him. At least somebody can tell the truth.
Yeah, I felt really bad for him, and I was like, this poor man, I bet this has been weighing on him for years. And I mean, he's a decent human being. So, I was like, what a decent human being he is. Obviously, I don't know him from Adam, but man, I thought this was really something. Oh, this is
It was.
interesting. NYU Manhattan says, thanks for the super chat, NYU Manhattan. The prosecution has not, in my view, connected Donna to the conspiracy beyond a reasonable doubt yet. Regardless if she's convicted, what sentence would you impose?
Well, she'll get the same sentence as Charlie and Magbanua and Garcia, because she's charged with the exact same charges. Right, Ange, or am I wrong?
Oh, they would give her the same. They would give her life without parole. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. But NYU Manhattan says that he or she, I don't know if you're a guy or a girl, sorry, that the prosecution hasn't connected Donna to the conspiracy beyond a reasonable doubt yet. Regardless if she's convicted, what sentence would you impose? I mean, if she's convicted, she'd have to get life without parole. And I say that because she's charged with conspiracy. So you just have to be part of the agreement to carry something out. You know, you can just be a part of it. You know, that's what a conspiracy is. So we have the wiretaps. I think they're pretty damning. Rob's testimony, I mean, that's like circumstantial evidence of their behavior after the crime. And he painted a picture of the family dynamic. The whole her being in charge of the books at the Adelson Institute and Katie being paid money when she wasn't even doing anything. I mean, that's part of the conspiracy right there.
She signed 44 checks.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the conspiracy. You don't pay Katie Magbanua unless there's something going on. And I know the defense is like, well, no, Donna, she's gullible and she's naive and blah, blah, blah. And the defense is clearly trying to blame Charlie. They're trying to say this was the Charlie and Wendy show. But Donna does not seem gullible and naive on those wiretaps. And we've heard these wiretaps before. We just have.
Right.
So I think we'll just have to wait and see. Summary, Annie Legg, thanks for the super chat. Summary of the wiretap info. Charlie doesn't think it's a good idea to talk on the phone, then proceeds to talk about it over and over. I mean, it's kind of true. He does kind of say that, like, we shouldn't talk about this on the phone, you know. And then, like, when's the double? Are we going to do the double extortion stuff? Is that going to come up? Like the whole double extortion? Like, come on.
Yeah, we were laughing about that today because I was, you know, being a Weisenheimer. Charlie was he had it all right, you know, in the phone calls. He had it all right. He knew exactly what was happening. He knew that, or he thought he was telling them that their apartments and their houses could be bugged, and whatever, and all of that. And he had the bump. He even had that pegged. You know, they're probably listening to these phone calls, blah 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 blah. But just like your super chat person just said, and I said it today, if the dude kept his mouth closed for more than 4 seconds, he would explode. He cannot stop talking. He just can't. And I wanted to ask you something real quick. I know you're ready to bounce, but before you do, do you think, or first of all, I think they have connected Donna through the wiretaps and the calls. So it's just a matter of Georgia wrapping it up in a nice, neat bow for the jury to understand. Do you think Wendy or Harvey is next? Do you think that those two dominoes will fall after this?
I can't say for sure, honestly. Keep in mind, we've got that other investigation that they've been trying to be so quiet about with Harvey and the Zelle account and the wiretaps. And I think wasn't Harvey going to be like, wasn't he promising to buy like one of the jail daughters, like veneers or something, or maybe Donna was saying that, but there's this other investigation that's like all hush hush. There's this totally separate investigation that started last fall, and it involves wiretaps with Harvey, his Zelle account, and all this stuff. So I don't know, but Georgia was unbelievably nice to Wendy the other day. She was far less snarky with Wendy than she was in Charlie's trial.
Yep, I said the same thing,
and I found that to be very interesting. So, I mean, it's like, how do you say, I mean, Wendy and Harvey are both unindicted co-conspirators. So they only become indicted if Jack Campbell and Georgia Kappelman and Sarah, they think they get together and they're like, yeah, we can prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. So I think we have to wait and see. But this trial to me seems remarkably more about Wendy. Like there's more emphasis on Wendy in this trial. And I'm like, is this like our foghorn? Like tell Wendy, you know, like I don't know. That's just like my really bad foghorn impersonation. But like maybe that's what's going on. NYU Manhattan has another super chat. Thank you so much. It's very kind of you. Why did Georgia spend so many hours showing the transcripts, a substantial portion of which were arguably not very relevant, rather than condensing it to the most helpful evidence? I don't know. Maybe I don't know if the judge required that. I don't know. I can't answer that question, and I apologize that I can't. But I know that we've heard a lot of wiretaps over the last day and a half or so. And we'll see what happens next. I will be paying close attention tomorrow. But everybody, I really appreciate you hanging out tonight. I will see about doing something Saturday. I'll see how the weekend shapes up and comes together, because there are things I want to talk to you about and show you. Eric, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And thank you to everybody else for hanging out too. It's very kind of you all to come up on a Thursday night. NYU Manhattan says, thanks for a great show. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. Eric, thanks again. And everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And hope everybody enjoyed it. And we will talk soon.
Yes, we will talk soon. Everybody, and thanks to the mods. Webby, Melmac, Monty, Mo, thanks for being here. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Remember to give do the subscribe. That'd be wonderful. Thumbs up. That would be great too. Hit that thumbs up, and we'll see you back here another time. Have a great night, everybody. Take care. Happy Friday. Bye-bye.